A very warm evening to all of you. Now, today our topic of discussion would be answer writing for your UPSC. Every year we start conducting the sessions for answer writing, and this year as well we would be pursuing with live classes as well as recorded sessions which would be available at 7:30 in the evening every day, where we would be covering important notes for UPSC answer writing. What is today's focus is exclusively on understanding some of the intricacies that you must be familiar with while you are writing your answers. So the very first thing that you must take into account is a lot of you go for toppers interviews, how they have written their answer. But one thing I would strongly recommend is you can take those for inspiration, not for your preparation. The major reason I say is that everyone would be a student like you, and they had their own preparation strategies which help them develop into a meritorious candidate. So have confidence on yourself. Take their ideas for guidance purpose, only for inspiration, not for preparation. Also, answers are to be evaluated, if any, by standard authorized faculties. A lot of places we have seen students only evaluating the answers, and then students come up with the answer feedback where they don't get satisfied with why they were actually losing marks. Rakesh and others, those who have questions as we are continuing, can drop those in the comment section, and I'll be more than happy to address each of the query. Yes, accountancy class 12 CBSE is already available, Rakesh, on the Doorstep website. So sections for those are already available. You can just refer and visit the website doorsteptutor.com for more details on accountancy. Also for class 12 as well as for your CUET UG examination, for both of those. Now the second important thing is every individual is unique, so don't compare yourself. And what happens when you are into a coaching institute, most of the institutes run at a individual pace, so students don't get an idea about where they are lacking and how they are lacking. Some students might take 5 minutes to complete it, others might take nearly 1 hour to complete the same topic. So every individual is unique, every individual have their own potentials, so work according to your potential. Identify which areas you are weak in and which areas you are strong in. Another very important thing, do not pile up materials, do not pile up references. A lot of students keep piling up text materials. Now if you are in the ocean of books, what would happen ultimately is water everywhere, nor a drop to drink, and that should not be the case. So identify good authentic material, and once you have identified the required material you need to study, stick to it. Don't flip yourself from one material to another material, because that would be merely waste of time in most of the circumstances. Now the next thing is very important. A lot of you focus on just simply memorizing model answers. I would say that's not a right approach. Why? Because when you are memorizing or rote memorizing the answers, all of you would come up with nearly the same answer. Now when examiner is looking onto the answer, any one different answer would be easily recognized, and that would be the candidate who would have a probability to score better marks, right? So it's extremely important that you bring visibility to your own key points. Don't bother about rote memorization. Focus on understanding the concepts and writing with your own creativity. When you start your answers, don't mention authors, don't mention definition. Mention the key concept of the answer. And that's the thing. For example, there is a question, let's say on SpaceX, or any other question related to Industry 4.0, gig workers, which was one of the questions in 2022. Now, these kind of questions need to be addressed with proper understanding. If you are just writing that for namesake that this was the time when industry 4.0 started. So in 2010s, this was the concept that started. This won't be an impactful answer. So to make your answer impactful, there has to be a significance and a conceptual understanding that must be attached to it. The next is, whatever sources you follow, make sure you are following credible sources. Now, when I say credible sources, internet should be a reference. Make a primary source material as the basis. Now, this could be from some of the reputed materials or the basic standardized text. Also solve past year papers. Once you have written the answers for the past year papers, compare it with the model answer, that's fine. But don't just read model answers and think that you are all set with your answer writing. Also, don't include your own personal knowledge if it is not relevant, like places, names, authors. If it is relevant to the question, only then include, otherwise, don't include. As you can see an image here, it says no name. Now, how dangerous it is. I put a blackboard, a notice board with nothing written onto it. So what I mean to say here is, with this no name, I cannot make any sense what this is trying to convey. So what I mean here is, 10 meaningful lines are better than 100 meaningless lines. So 10 lines which are relevant are better than 100 lines that are irrelevant. Another important thing is authenticity. Rely on credible, authentic sources. Don't just browse internet, you find something and that's done. No. Make sure the sources that you are using are credible, authentic, and have credibility, right? The next important thing is case studies. Now, how many should be there? Whether each answer should have it or not. So those kind of questions need to be addressed. Now, case study is an important part of your answer writing, but only if you have good knowledge about that case study, write it. Don't just mention it as a superficial case study. Not at all required. Another important thing is make connections. It should not be like loose hanging pockets. So your answer should be well tied up to the case study which is mentioned. And only when answers and case studies are well tied up, you can understand and explain the concept in a very crisp and meaningful way. So what is really important for today, I would say, is understanding you are on the right track. Self-evaluating, will be taking a separate lecture on how to do a self-analysis, how to self-evaluate. Students have been regularly sending their answers for feedback, so we are providing personalized one-on-one reference for each of the answers that you send. But more important thing than all this is understanding and conceptual clarity. So build up your knowledge, have conceptual clarity, have deeper understanding, and then only you would be able to drive through the major content for your UPSC answers. Again, practicing is important, writing speed is important, and the way of presentation is extremely important. So those are some of the things that we would cover definitely in a separate lecture. For now, that was some of the important things. Why case study is really important for you. What are the key points that you must take into account before your answer writing? And in the meanwhile, if you have any questions or queries, you can reach us on our number which is given here. So wish you good luck. Study well, focus well, and definitely looking forward for the next sessions with you. Have a wonderful evening.